So thank you very much, Jasmin, for your introduction. My name is Christian Hengel. I'm head of process engineering at the Rheinhausen Group with its parent company Maschinenfabrik Reinhausen in Regensburg, and I was project manager of our S4 HANA transition.
I'm Robert Hammer, representing the All for One Group SE. I was in charge as a project manager on this project. I'm with the All for One since a couple of years, and I'm familiar and let's say I'm more focused on Bluefield conversions and transitions. Christian.
So first of all, let me give us a short overview of Maschinenfabrik Reinhausen or the Reinhausen Group. We are a typical family-owned German company with about 5,000 employees on 60 locations worldwide. We have a revenue of over 1 billion euros per year, and our products and services are responsible for regulating the electricity worldwide. We are proud of it. We are regulating more than 50% of worldwide voltage. That means more than 50% of worldwide electricity flows through our products. The products have a lifetime of 50 plus years, and this is a first important indicator, or was a first important indicator for our S4HANA project, because we wanted to move every data from R3 to S4. Where you can find our products, on every place where energy or electricity is generated, for example, at power plants, and up to the way to the consumption, everywhere where voltage has to be regulated, so there's has to be a stable voltage in the nets. How do our products look like? The main product is the so-called on-load tap changer. With this, the company has grown 150 years. It's set in big transformers, in transformer substations, and you can compare it to the automatic gear in a car. It shifts down and up depending on voltage demand is rising or growing or shrinking. And around this, many products have been established the last decades up to the operating system with artificial intelligence for big transformers. What was the starting situation for our S4 project? From 1998 to 2004, the parent company Maschinenfabrik Reinhausen Regensburg implemented R3 module by module. In 2004 then, only one company was on our R3 system. We hosted it in our own data center. The users, number of users, 800 and 200 million of revenue. 25 years later, we had before the project 11 companies worldwide directly on our R3 system, and furthermore 30 sales and service subsidiaries placing orders to the different plants worldwide. We have now about 4,000 users and over 1 billion euros of revenue. And a second input parameter for our S4HANA project, we were already in the private cloud of SAP with the RISE program with R3. I will tell you later on about some difficulties with SAP when you have this situation. We had and have almost every module in the ERP core in use. We extensively use the variant configuration, and we have a centralized HR module inside the ERP, which, looking back, was not a very big problem to transfer the old HR to the new H4 S4 in S4. We have about 20 add-ons were useful and about 25 subsystems directly connected to our SAP system. With this starting situation, in 2022, we generated a multi-year program coming to S4HANA called Mount. That is a big lessons learned for us, not to only focus on the transition itself, looking back or starting some years before and making a strategy to make a benefit out of the S4 transition and not only make an update, a simple update. So in 2022, we focused on the decision which strategy we want to go. In 2023, we did all the pre-projects combined to S4 or independent of S4 to getting out the resources to have them in Mount 3. Started April 24, the actual or the transition to S4 HANA itself. The project lasted about 30 months. So coming back to Mount 1, where we did the decision for our transition strategy. Greenfield has never been a real option for us because we had a grown system, good processes, good master data on the system. So Greenfield, making everything new, was never a real option for us. Then we analyzed Brownfield, and I was always a supporter of Brownfield. I would say I preferred Brownfield because of the easy way, but then the problems came up.
It's not always the easy way, Christian.
Okay. The problems came up, first of all, in our finance and controlling area. There we stuck in the middle. In the year 2000, we had the old ledger, the old asset accounting, different controlling areas, no profit center, no segment reporting, and so on. And then in many other areas, like in sales and distribution, we misused many organizational structures and had them misused not in the way SAP in standard has intended it. So we came to Bluefield because we wanted to have the one-step approach, not to make many pre-projects. We wanted to have everything in one project. So we came to Bluefield. So we came to S&P and we came to All for One, and we did the project with them. With the decision in Mount 1, making Bluefield transition, we clearly defined our objectives of Mount 3. The objectives we want to achieve in the S4HANA transition. We had introduced the new general ledger, the new asset accounting, material ledger, profit center accounting, and segment reporting. Fiori apps we only use in S4HANA where it's absolutely necessary. That was not our focus. And also an objective was, as I said, taking all the data with us to S4HANA. Besides this, with the Crystal Bridge, because with the appetite, the hunger comes. And then we wanted to rework all the controlling areas to harmonize it to one. We wanted to restructure all the sales organization data with sales channel, division, and product hierarchy. And therefore, as you know, with new values in the organizational data, with the Crystal Bridge, you have to restructure every data in the past, which used the old keys, so that the system afterwards looks like as it was set right before. And as we have every company on one system, we had to plan a big bang as go live on a weekend. This happened in May, last May, on the 18th this year. So as I said, we found All for One, and All for One came up with this project plan 1.5 years before go live, and Robert will tell you the details.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, for your introduction. Well, me and Christian, we are very proud to present this timeline because this is the initial timeline we planned for the entire project. So we planned back in April 2024 to hold this project according to this phase plan, to this timeline. And now, a few weeks after go live, we achieved it at a certain and planned go live date. So we have been on schedule all the time. This is something which is really a point to be proud of on taking into account what everything within those small bits and pieces needs to work together. As you can see on the screen, the project started in 2024 with the initializing phase. Then we have a so-called analyze and design phase, where we design and analyze what we have as a as-is situation and define really in detail what we want to do and what we want to implement. Big round of applause for the other ones. Once we finalize the build phase, we go into the most complex and time-consuming part, which is migration and testing. Yeah, so it's a constant phase where we do several iterations of testing, and then we have a go-live simulation, simulate exactly what we did on the go-live weekend in detail on the very minute, and then we have or had a successful go-live during one normal weekend, and this is something we will get back to this in a minute. So on the next details, I would say it is a standard Bluefield approach. Yeah, the All for One did a couple of projects. So it was the 80th go live within this project character, I would say. And what we do is, let's say, our standard, our proper standard, which is tested several times. There are some major building blocks. We kicked off the project in the early beginning of May 2024, and the first phase is focusing on building the blueprints. So to really document what you are going to do, be precise in this, and make it visible for everyone what is going to be the next step and how we want to document this, so everyone is aware what is coming next. We finalized this phase with a blueprint acceptance. This took quite a while because it is, in the very detail, quite complex to understand and to, let's say, predict the real effect on the system without ever seeing it in the system activated. Once this was done, systems have been built, the migration blueprints have been agreed. We implemented exactly what we wanted within the SMP tool set. Crystal Bridge and Mission Control was used, and a couple of others. And then we started with the test migration phases. So TM0, where we have our initial tests if the ideas are fine and working, and already started with first integrative testers, so to say, back in TM0, which is key to find defects as soon as possible, as early as possible, to have time to react. After this, we went into the TM1 over Christmas and the first 2 months of the new year, and this was an intensive time of testing. So, Christian, I don't know how many hundreds of testers have been on the system.
250 key users worldwide, with about 10,000 test cases.
Yeah, so quite intense.
Yeah.
And which is not normal in these days. Rheinhausen also managed to fly them in from across the world, let them sit together in one room and do one joint session of testing. So intensive days. Yeah. After this, we had a lot of defects, definitely. Yeah. But every defect we find in this period of time is a benefit, because then you have it and you can work against it. Then in March, we pushed ourselves to perform a quite fast TM2, had a short but very intensive testing phase, error correction, and then we've been ready for the go-live. The go-live simulation took place as planned 14 or 16 months before, and the go-live was performed during a normal weekend from Friday to Sunday. And so Friday 14 o'clock and Sunday when the late shift already started working on S4.
Yes, it's all sounds very, very easy, but we definitely had our ups and downs with all the defects and so on. I will tell you later on.
Yep.
According communication, for us it was very important to have a representation for our management and for our key users what Bluefield means, because not everybody is in the IT system and understands what we are doing. So it was very important to make a representation for our management and for our key users. So we did this, showing up them. We live in a office tower called R3 on the left side, and we want to go to a new office tower called S4 on the right side. We're building up a shell of the new tower, and we're building up new floors and new offices according to the future needs. And then we test if the office worker will fit into the new rooms, into the new floors, if the processes go on and so on. And then during go live simulation, we tell all the people on the left side, go on the right side, if it is manageable in the go live, and then we do the go live. This representation is, very stupid, I would say, but it helped us many, many times during discussions. What is Bluefield? What are you doing here? And this basically represents the technical picture you see here. I think this is very well known of everybody of you because it's from S&P.
Yeah. Well, it's the same picture. On the top side, you have the R3 tower, let's say the left side from the page before. And on the bottom side, you have the S4 system landscape, which is totally to be run in parallel between, let's say, the second and third quarter of the project is vital for this. Well, the approach is quite clear. So you build up a fully parallel system landscape to R3. Rheinhausen also is already live or was live with SAP RISE. So we already built the systems in the RISE context, in the RISE infrastructure, and had a very short frozen zone in the end. Of course, you have to do a dual maintenance. That's basic in IT projects if you have two parallel systems. But in the end, that's standard. Yeah, which is maybe a special point is the golden copy system. Yeah, I will give a short glimpse on this. We have a 4-system approach within All for One projects. So we have a development system, we have a quality system, a productive system, and we have a golden copy system in the new system landscape. And the golden copy system is vital for a proper, fast, and very well-trained go live. Because you build up the target, the empty target system in all those test migration cycles. And if you have, let's say, a specimen for this, a system which is just ready, empty, with no data, with no transactional data, you can easily copy this to the new productive environment and have it within a few days, which is vital because we had to trigger everything at SAP with tickets. Yeah? That's maybe another point where Christian give you some more information.
Yes. So on the next 4 slides, we will share to you our key indicators for success, our lessons learned, which were the most important real key indicators to get the project successfully. First, in the area of organization and project management. The first point, I think, is very well known. It's no business project. It's no IT project, sorry. It's a business project. Address the project to the top management. 2 members of our board were our sold-to party, and this helped us many, many times when we are talking about resources and critical decisions and so on. The next one, we made a so-called stakeholder analysis where we talked about or dealt with every management circle of our companies worldwide. We addressed the objectives of the S4 project and talked about their expectations. And out of this stakeholder analysis, we defined communication strategy, and almost, about every 2 months, we did communication of the progress of the S4 project in every management circle worldwide. this helped us many times to getting acceptance for this project. And then clearly outline the objectives and keep them at least in between of test phases, because if you redefine objectives between test phases, it can happen then the test phase before is obsolete. So keep your objectives. Then do an inventory of your test plans before the project, because every process has to be tested, in our case 3 times, though the test plans had to be ready before beginning testing. This is very important, not to start making the test plans when tests are running. Then, one favorite point of mine, cut-over list. The cut-over list is the list of actions you as customer have to do next to the data transformation of SNP. In our cut-over list, there were about 500 points for the weekend of go live.
Yep.
And it helped us very good to have this cut-over list, just a flat list from the beginning on, because at almost every core team session, somebody had an idea, hey, this is we have to do on the go live weekend. Though you have to do a collection list from the beginning on.
Yeah.
Dual maintenance, as you heard from Robert, you have the whole project lifetime 2 system environments, R3 and S4. If you are doing changes on R3, you have to do it mostly manually, also in S4 environment. And doing this, the probability of errors are rising, transport by transport. So minimize parallel project as good as you can. Of course, you have legal and operational topics, but minimize the parallel project as good as you can.
Yeah, and you did good.
Yeah, we had almost 1,000 transports. We thought it was much.
Yeah, but respectively to your progress within the entire company, that's not really much, because during the time of the project, it was one of the best years for Maschinenfabrik Reinhausen and the entire group.
Yeah.
And you had a significant growth.
Yeah.
And keeping your focus on the project was key.
Yeah. The next area, internal staffing. Do a key user inventory before the project. Name them before the project. Obtain the resource allocation for them before the project. And have an eye on the SAP base administrators, because in crucial test phases, they are the key resources for you, for go live and so on. And the last point you already mentioned, Robert, if you can, in the areas where you have the critical changes, do the tests on site if possible, because if you call out in the world, do testing, they do everything but not testing.
Yeah.
Third area, data transformation with SNP. Do a clear, in the definition phase, do a clear definition of the data transformation rules. Do not make rough definitions, make clear definitions, clear input parameters, clear export parameters, clear mapping rules, because if you do define it roughly, then it is the data transformation is roughly for the first data load. Then have an eye on so-called exclusions. Crystal Bridge can transform many data objects of SAP from R3 to S4, but there are so-called exclusions. These are objects which cannot be transformed. Please ask SAP actively about this. And there are so-called objects which can be transferred by SAP, but are not in the standard content. There also please ask SNP actively.
Yeah. And why not in the standard content? Because it's not that easy to really shrink it in, to really tell them you have to go from here to here, because it's not that easy to just take one object.
Yeah.
It's not, let's say, one table, it's a bunch of tables, and they're connected somehow to each other.
Yeah.
And that's not that easy way, but SMP is very willing to help you in these special points, as well as the All for One. We do have a lot of knowledge in Bluefield projects, and we have, let's say, our own tool case for this. Yeah, but sometimes it's not even sensible to do this with the software. It's just a manual cutover strategy to be executed.
Then coming to the first test phase called TM0, zero because for SNP, it's first of all a technical test. Do the connectors work? Is the performance of a target and source system okay? And so on. But for us, the 90% outcome of the TM1, the 90% quality of the first loaded S4 system was very helpful to test for us because finding out the errors there helped us many times to have them out from TM1. Test phase TM1 and TM2 with the key users, we always had done pre-test in the core team. This also helped us before the key users are on the system. Data comparison. There are many tools from All for One and from SNP to compare source tables and target tables after the data load. Use them. These tools are very helpful. Okay, and last but not least, think about SAP BW, your business warehouse, because if you transform data in the ERP environment, which is also in BW, you have to transform it also here.
It's always something like master and slave in BW. You have your master data in your ERP. And BW and all those satellite systems named in GTS and whatever, they're dependent on this. And don't forget about them. Yeah.
Also with subsystems. There also can be data fields which are transformed in ERP environment and also have to be transformed in the subsystem environment. Yeah. And also archives, we used the help of Anuvo. Anuvo also has a booth here to transform the data in archives. And the last area, process and IT. Think about your add-ons and communicate with your add-on suppliers as early as possible, because many of them do not have a S4 ready add-on. Many of them want to have a new license and so on. Do an early analysis of the simplification items. That means what you have to change via customizing, and do an early readiness check of your set coding to adjust all the set coding. Think about the subsystems. We already talked about this. Make a strategy for the batch process. We have about 1,000 batch processes running in the background per day, different batch processes. So we have needed a strategy for the go live weekend, which process has to be run in R3 and which immediately after go live in S4.
Yeah, and also, which you did not mention, maybe I can add this. Also during the test phases, it's vital to run at least some special, let's say, transports and batch jobs into the systems, because otherwise you do not really simulate your all-day work, because this normally runs and changes data somewhere in the background no one is really aware of, if it is a batch job which has been installed, let's say 20 years ago, and some of them are really that old. So you have to simulate them also within the testing phases.
And the last point, I said we were already with our R3 system in private cloud. And SAP has for our situation no real supporting process, because the normal process is to move to RISE, with RISE to the cloud when you have S4. And then we had many difficulties with having support. We only worked with tickets and so on. It was very difficult for us.
Yeah. What I already mentioned is that the productive landscape is in RISE, and therefore we also built up the system landscape also in RISE. And it is a big different thing for SAP if this is just a system which is active and has a business go live, so it's delivered, or if it's really in use for a project. And the maintenance on this and the reaction times are really completely different. Yeah? And therefore you need to be prepared to pre-plan your steps when you need a copy, when you need to refresh some systems, which is a constant job during such projects. And you have to plan onwards. And sometimes they are not that fast as you might believe, because
especially in the go live weekend.
Yeah, also in the go live weekends. But in the old days, it was an easy thing to just change some parameters and reboot the system. But now you have to raise two different tickets and to make them run.
Even we have premium engagement.
Yep.
Okay, on the next slides, Robert will give you an insight, a short insight about our most challenging area. As you heard before, in the area of finance and controlling, where we started very on the scratch and moved up to the present.
Yeah. So it was like, let's say, the Champions League in this project. Mr. Scheubeck, the CEO from Rheinhausen, told once in a so-called coffee break session that he has one dream. He wants to build the new system according to the new standards and apply those new standards to all the data in there, as it would have been already actively customized like this back in the year 2000. So just to go back in the history and start from scratch again, but take all your data with you. And this is what applies to finance and controlling especially, because we have, of course, the new general ledger has to be activated. We changed from account to ledger solution in SAP. And we have a very globally acting customer, and you have to really detail all those requirements in the local countries. The second point is the profit center. Profit center was in use, definitely, but you did not use it as, let's say, as it was intended. Yeah, because it was just a, let's say, a vehicle to use to run a different process. And here we had to not only change and consolidate the profit centers, we also had to adopt the authorizations concept accordingly, which was a huge impact within this project. Third point, the cost of sales matters was activated, and it's a simple thing to activate some SAP enhancements, SAP functionality, but you always have to take into account the existing data in such kind of projects. And for instance, in China, this was already in use, since this is a local requirement. And we had a bunch of different points where we mapped data, where we changed data, and this also had to be applied on those particular cases. Segment reporting was introduced just for future purposes, so to say. So it's not in use today, but this is easy to be enriched with the data fields during the conversion, and this is kind of invest into the future.
Yep.
Yeah. And we will go on with value-raising projects and raise this value, raise this functionality within a couple of months. And finally, let's say a standard, but turns out to be not that easy to really accomplish in the end, is the merge of the controlling areas. So now we have one controlling areas, we merged several of them, and when it comes to a merge in this case, you also have to convert your currencies. And Frank, you're laughing, yeah? This was quite a challenge. Also during the Go Live weekend, we have not been that, let's say, fully aware what this really results in. Yeah? But we managed, and it was a great effort from all sides. And now the currencies are correct, and we found all missing euros. Well, finally, the Go Live weekend was quite an intensive time. So it was an on-site event, 35 to 40 people on site in Regensburg. Everyone was aware that this is a big deal now. And it was a normal working weekend, so to say. So we shut down the ECC system by Friday noon. Yeah? So after the normal shift, then we've been online again with the new S4 system with the first productive click on Sunday afternoon. And within this time, everything run just like planned. So we've been First of all, we've been one hour behind due to
Yeah.
some inconsistencies in communication, but in the end, we handed over the system to the productive environment as planned, and this is all a really turnout of investment into communication and relations, yeah, relationships between the customer and Maschinenfabrik Reinhausen is one of the best examples on how to communicate the requirements, how to communicate the points which are not as accepted, let's say. And then we have the pros from SMP actively involved in all the phases of the project. And finally, the all for one, of course, with a bunch of knowledge and bunch of experience with a lot of different small hacks and stuff in such kind of projects. And this is the final go-live communication within the team, within the entire company.
Yeah.
And they did it together. Yeah? In German, wir haben es gemeinsam geschafft. And this is really, that's the point. We did it together. It's not a single project for either the customer, either the supporting partner SMP or the all for one. We cannot do this alone. And this is something we as an implementation partner are very proud of, to stand here with a project which was fully in time. So we planned the time 16 months before, and we achieved the go live at the exact point of time as planned. That's a perfect story for this, and it's just the beginning of your future journey in S4.
Yes. Robert, thank you very much. Thank you very much, SMP, for supporting us. Thank you very much, All for One.
Welcome.
And thank you very much for your attention.